Currently going live on YouTube. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I am Daniel, and I am planning my 2026 garden. Currently, I am on Johnny Seed Company, trying to get together a cart of delicious items and flowers to buy. My cart has like $400 worth of material in it currently, and that's a lot of money. So I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna actually buy that. I'm not sure, but let me see if I can pull it up on the screen for you guys. Do. Here we go. Done. So this is what I'm working on now. We got that pulled up. Boom. Let's just bring that. And if you guys want to support my channel, Sweetberry Store, sweetberry.store, that is where you can buy my merch. I have cup, $11, high quality, holds a lot of liquid. I have hoodie, super incredible, super awesome, says life is sweet, made out of organic cotton. Super awesome, says wild at heart, because I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? Super incredible, guys. All right, but right now we are shopping till we're dropping, man, on this website. Super incredible, super awesome. I feel like I could take an afternoon siesta. That's where we're at. I'm like a little bit sleepy. I got the Outdoor Boys on the TV over there. I'm just chilling. I'm actually live streaming on TikTok at the same time, so I'm gonna check out my streaming software over there if I can find it. Oh yeah, we're going strong. We're going strong. So we're streaming on TikTok, we're streaming on YouTube. Super cool. No viewers on YouTube right now. Let me check out a feature. I want to switch. What I want to do is I want to switch from my laptop to my phone. Introducing Pro X2 Super Strike, the winning click. I don't know what that is. What is that? Is the fastest fully customizable click for competitive dominance. This is the industry's first. Features customizable rapid trigger reset and real-time click haptics. I don't know what that. I'm not doing whatever that is. Ho 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 ho. Mobile. Mobile streaming. Allow controller app connections. Let's do it. Allow third-party connections. I don't know what that is. Recordings. Highlighter. App Store. Recommended for me. I'm just so ready to fall asleep, guys. I'm so tired. And something I want to do. Manage dual output. Vertical. Horizontal. Multi-streaming. Stream. Video, audio, output, notifications, advanced, appearance, mobile, virtual webcam. To display scenes from Streamlabs desktop and video conferencing software. AI. Start Streamlabs AI. Installed, yes. I don't know what Streamlabs AI is. Ultra. Streamlabs Mobile. Live stream on the go or mobile games. Streamlabs Web Smart Suite. Ultra. Alright guys, this live stream is not doing so hot. We're 7 minutes in. And I just kind of wanted to test whether or not I could live stream on TikTok and live stream on YouTube at the same time with the same videos. Apparently I can. I wish I had snacks. That'd be awesome. Let's shop for stuff. Let's see what's in my cart. I got 17 items in my cart. $419 worth. Lots of flowers, tomatoes, cucumbers, sweet potatoes, onion seeds, watermelon seed, pea seeds, edible flowers. I don't know how that equals that much money. I think the flowers really... It's like stuff really adds up. Sweet potatoes are good though. But it's like everything else. I'm gonna get rid of this salmon. That dropped me under 400. Do 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 do, 5 little fingers wrapped around mine. Da 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 It's crazy. It's crazy how it adds up to $397.08. And it doesn't seem like that much stuff. It's absolutely insane. Free shipping. Yay. The thing is, I am pretty confident there's absolutely no way I'm going to make $400 back. Even if I get all this stuff, there's no way I'm going to make $400. That's what's crazy. It's just fun to have all these things, but there's no way to make the money back. All right, guys. I'm gonna take a little break here. Gonna get some food to eat. So I'll be right back. We're gonna keep the live stream going. I'm just so tired, dude. Like, I want to live stream. I want to, like, make good content, but I'm just, like, mentally tired. And a nap would feel so good. I'm pretty sure it's called burnout. Ugh. I'm pretty sure I'm just burnt out. I'm burnt out, guys. I'm gonna sleep. I'm hungry. Like, all I want to do is eat food that tastes good. That's all I want to do. The algorithm has responded with an astounding dislike of my content, and it's exhausting to live stream right now. I'm not gonna lie. I do not want to live stream. I want to sleep. I'm gonna go get some soup. I think I'm sick. That's why I don't have the energy. I'm gonna go get some soup. I will be right back in a jiff. Okay, guys, I actually feel a little bit better because I got some food. Got some chicken noodle soup on the stove. And a cheese stick. All right, guys. Looks like my YouTube channel is not working out very well. Live chat has popped out. There we go. Sweet. Now it's back. Wow. All right, guys. I'm officially in the chat. Upload. Fan club. Wow.
The latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon comes to a close. Orion, back on Earth. A picture-perfect mission with NASA precision, setting the stage for humans. There's a lot out there to explore. And this is the next beginning. And this is the Artemis generation. Fast forward to 2026 and the dawn of a new era. Artemis 2, stacked and ready for launch, America's biggest lunar mission in 53 years.
Oh boy.
testing all of the crew systems before Artemis 3 is set to land on the moon.
Oh my goodness.
Is Commander Reed Weissman, originally from Baltimore, a retired Navy captain fighter pilot, and a single father of two after his wife Carol passed away. He spent 165 days on the space station in 2014 and served as the chief of the astronaut office. Pilot Victor Glover, a U.S. Navy pilot who served on the Crew 1 mission to the space station, where he also served as a flight engineer. Originally from California, he is married with 4 children. Mission specialist Christina Cook set a record for the longest single space flight by a woman with 328 days in space and participated in the first all-female spacewalk, growing up in Michigan and North Carolina. And astronaut Jeremy Hansen is a former fighter pilot and aquanaut. Originally from Ontario, he is married with 3 teenagers and proud to be the first Canadian headed to the moon.
The U.S. shines in space leadership, and they create this place where other countries like Canada can bring our genius and contribute in a meaningful way.
Artemis is the twin Greek god of Apollo with perfect aim. Flanked with 2 boosters, Artemis is 15% more powerful than the monster Saturn V rockets that carried Apollo astronauts to the moon more than 50 years ago.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
And NASA is building heavily on the lessons learned from Apollo.
We are ready for every scenario as we ride this amazing space launch system in the Orion spacecraft. 250,000 miles away. It's going to be amazing.
On mission day 1, Artemis will blast off with 8.8 million pounds of thrust. In just 9 minutes, they'll be in Earth orbit.
And so once we get to space, the ascent portion really ends after about a half an orbit, when we're going to go from a 1,200 mile by 0 mile orbit to doing what we call a perigee-raise maneuver that gets us into a stable and sustainable orbit. And then we're going to get a couple of us out of our seats and start to check out really critical systems, the water system and the toilet.
After a series of Earth orbits, they'll head to the moon. On flight day 6, the Artemis 2 crew will fly closer to the moon than any astronaut since Apollo 17 landed there in 1972. For the first time, putting human eyes on a remote side of the moon.
We hope it's not the dark side. We hope it's the lit far side, because that could mean that we could see parts of the moon that never have had human eyes lay upon them before.
And then they'll keep going in a big Circle 8, traveling 4,600 miles beyond the moon before returning back to Earth. All 10 days spent inside their Orion crew capsule, about the size of a large minivan. The biggest difference between Orion and the Apollo crew capsule is, first of all, it's bigger, about 33% bigger. 4 astronauts will be inside Orion instead of 3 in Apollo. And Orion uses solar power rather than Apollo's battery power. For 3 years, all 4 have been training together in this very tight space. How do you prepare and practice for that, Christina? How do you literally sit elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, no personal privacy, no private space, to prepare for this intensity?
I think a big part of preparing for being in a small space together is respect and practice. We came up with some rules. Hey, headphones, that means pretend I'm not here. I have my headphones on, I'm taking a break. But also just we learned how to give each other grace and what that feels like, literally bumping into each other all the time.
Artemis is about reclaiming America's leadership in space.
Roger, Tranquility, we copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Tranquilize.
And setting the stage for a 21st century lunar landing.
Now today, the moon is calling us again.
Harrison Schmitt walked on the moon in that final Apollo 17 mission in 1972.
Cold War II has started, in my opinion.
But the 2026 space race is not with Russia, it's with China. Already, China has built a robotic base on the moon with plans to land its own astronauts there by 2030. Former commercial astronaut Jared Isaacman is NASA's new administrator.
Within the next 3 years,
We are going to land American astronauts again.
But check out that
This time
suit.
with the infrastructure to stay.
And American politicians are determined not to let China get there first.
I'll be damned if the Chinese beat NASA or get America back to the moon. We are going to win.
We have liftoff. Go super heavy. Go Starship.
To get there, NASA is depending on the Elon Musk SpaceX mega rocket called Starship. Standing nearly 400 feet tall, Starship is the biggest rocket ever built. Despite a perfect test flight in October 2025, Starship has suffered a series of high-profile setbacks after several test flights ended in explosions, with debris raining down over the Caribbean. The SpaceX plan used Starship to lift resupplied fuel tanks into Earth orbit, then fuel up before heading to the moon and rendezvousing with Orion, which will carry 4 astronauts from Earth. Once in lunar orbit, 2 astronauts will board Starship for a lunar landing, where they will live and work for more than 6 days. That's the plan, but a Starship lunar lander doesn't yet exist, and the clock is ticking down to the goal of a lunar landing in 2028. Concerned, NASA encouraged SpaceX rival Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin to also develop a lunar lander. Posting on X in 2025, Musk said setbacks are part of testing and learning, eventually take humans beyond the moon to Mars. And NASA has also had to learn. The Artemis 1 launch was delayed for several months due to a hydrogen fuel leak and 2 hurricanes. The launch director, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, says her team now has a much better understanding of the rocket.
Is there just some natural leak that you've now come to realize is just, that's what the vehicle does?
All right, guys. I have a ridiculous amount of chicken noodle soup, so I'm in high spirits right now. I just don't want to spill. This is going to take me a long time to eat. And it's super hot.
As Orion returned to Earth, the protective shield hit 5,000 degrees, half the temperature of the sun.
Wow.
To bleed off speed, NASA skipped the spaceship off the atmosphere before dipping back in. Engineers
Ooh, it's
later
spicy.
discovered a charred layer of the heat shield where pieces had come off. NASA had to determine why, and then come up with a fix for the Artemis 2 mission. Howard Hu is the Orion program manager. Do you feel like you've solved the heat shield issue?
Definitely, we have. You know, like I said, we have found root cause, which is really important. We know what the heat shield's capable of, and what we need to do to make the minor adjustments for the future vehicles.
The heat shield is all that stands between the astronauts and the extreme heat and plasma.
Spicy.
The danger all too real for NASA. In 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia broke apart on re-entry after a piece of the heat shield was damaged and came off during liftoff, killing all 7 astronauts. There are going to be real astronauts on board Orion 2. Does that raise the stakes for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're flying people here, and we've got to do the absolute best job we can. Their lives depend on you. They absolutely do. Us doing our job.
Now, a new chapter in America's love affair with all things space.
Oh boy.
3, 2, 1. Boosters ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. The Artemis mission is wrapped around a massive rocket weighing 6 million pounds at liftoff.
5 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 128 miles per hour.
700,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, pushing the entire stack to break the Earth's gravitational pull.
Now 1 minute, 21 seconds into the flight, traveling at 1,420 miles per hour.
75% of its power comes from 2 solid rocket boosters, borrowed from the Space Shuttle program.
Confirmation that the solid rocket boosters have separated.
2 minutes into flight, those booster rockets are released. As the core stage and its engines continue to propel Orion and the crew to space. After 3 minutes, the protective fairing around the service module's solar panels drops free. 8 minutes into flight, the core engine shuts down. Orion separates from the core and flies free. then deploys the 4 solar panels to power Orion to the moon and back. After 90 minutes, the engine ignites to lift Orion into a high Earth orbit. Then, for the next 24 hours, the astronauts and mission control perform a full systems check, manually test flying the ship for future flights that will involve rendezvous and docking maneuvers. 23 hours later, in full auto mode, Orion will start the TLI burn, translunar injection, beginning a 4-day journey to the moon and a figure-8 path extending more than 230,000 miles from Earth.
Style my Coach carry bag with me. This bag is the perfect everyday bag. It has this classic shape, an optional crossbody strap, and high quality finishes that are signature to Coach. I can't wait to find out how many ways I can style this bag, and you can shop the Terry bag at thecoachoutlet.com.
It's football. Only better. Atlantic's Puppy Bowl, a simulcast event. Today at 2 Eastern.
Hey guys, did you know some drivers are ditching their car insurance
Who?
and they're doing this instead?
Where were
The
you?
reason why you may be overpaying for car insurance is because
It's too hot. He didn't touch it. He smelled it.
for insurance.
I can't even eat it. It's hot.
Administrative people. It's crazy, right?
It's fine.
My friend showed me this
I promise, he was sniffing it. He wasn't.
completely. It gives you the
It's
ability
too hot.
to pay for just your policy alone. So this website can find liability for as low as $29 a month and full coverage insurance for only $38 a month.
Cats don't like hot
I
stuff.
put a link to the website down below.
He was
So
just
whatever button you see
curious.
on this video, just go ahead and click that. It's going to take you directly to the website.
So this is the Orion crew stack. Up on top, you see that is the crew module, the top with the silver band around it. That's where the 4 astronauts will sit. Down below that, you have the European service module. That's in the middle. And you've got 4 solar arrays. Right now you can see 2 of them. But that is the power pack that will essentially power Orion to his journey around the moon.
It'll be about a day orbiting the Earth, 4 days to the moon, 4 days back, and then we'll really have a certified human-rated lunar capable spacecraft in the Orion.
We are 41,540 miles.
For 3 years, the Artemis 2 crew has been training hard.
Radio check on ACU2.
Mastering cockpit flight controls, fitting and refitting spacesuits, intense classes for memorizing systems, procedures, and backups, and endless hours on their backs in the Orion simulator.
If I look tired, it's because I am tired. This has been an incredible week of training, a very intense week for sure.
This is where the commander will sit and the pilot will sit right here. Now, Orion is designed to fly itself, fully automated. But either the pilot or the commander can take control. They both have the same controls on either side. And Orion is a lot lighter. They've gotten rid of a lot of the Apollo cables and replaced it with computers. Still, it's a 10-day mission with little room to stretch out, especially for 6'2" Jeremy Hansen.
Yeah, Canada did get more than its fair share of the volume on this mission by assigning me to this. And these 3 are going to have to mentor me a little bit as I get my space legs, because they've all had 6-ish months on the space station, and I'll be learning how to float and fly and bumping into stuff, and I'll need a little help probably.
Like all NASA crews before them, the Artemis crew voted on a name for their Orion spaceship. Their choice, Integrity. Commander Reed Weissman.
Why did you pick that name? We talk a lot about this concept of being, integrity is not like a pure, simple thing like you would think, but you can be in integrity and you can be out of integrity. And so for us, as the first crew of Artemis, we strive every day to be in integrity. And there are moments where we slip up and we go, hey, I'm out of integrity right now and I'm working on it. And that's all we have to say to each other.
And the name Integrity comes at a time of great political polarization in the country. This mission they hold will serve to unite Americans, much as Apollo 8 did after a very turbulent 1968.
And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the gutter.
There's a lot of little things that will divide us, that will fill in the cracks and expand if we let it. And it would be nice if this could just be some caulking, some reinforcement to fill in those spaces to prevent division. I hope this mission can bring people together. We were very intentional about the design of this patch for Artemis 2 to look like all. And we want everybody to be a part of this mission. And so I hope we can contribute in that way.
Just maybe this lunar mission for the 21st century will capture the country's imagination. Since 1973, astronauts have been staying in low Earth orbit. Now they will fly just 4,300 miles above the lunar surface, the closest since the Apollo 17 astronauts had left the moon in 1972.
3, 2, 1, ignition. Burn away, Houston.
Rick Henflin is the Artemis 2 re-entry flight director. You're going to send astronauts further from the Earth than ever before.
Correct. It's going to be a tremendous mission to be a part of. We're going to send back some imagery that we know will just wow the public.
The hope? That after Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 crew will be the first to land on the moon since those glory days of Apollo, landing near Shackleton's crater on the moon's cold and shadowed south pole, where water ice is thought to exist, a critical resource for future base and rocket fuel. Already, astronauts are training in NASA's 6 million gallon neutral buoyancy lab in Houston, replicating moonwalks and collecting lunar samples. And far from Houston, training in the barren and desolate volcanic fields of Iceland, where the geology is eerily similar to the moon's.
We hope to learn about the evolution of the moon, but actually a lot of the objectives that those astronauts are going to be doing will tell us about the evolution of our own planet and the entire solar system.
I do think this is the greatest adventure in human history. I think what we stand to learn out there can absolutely change
Where's your soup?
The trajectory of humankind.
The ultimate goal, to build a permanent base on the moon, complete with a nuclear reactor to generate power, and then on to Mars. Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt, himself a geologist, has been pushing for more than 50 years.
Human evolution in the universe has begun. I tried to make this point as we left the moon in 1972.
Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers is all in. She spent 146 days on the space station.
I was that little kid who had an affinity for the sky and for space, and sealed the deal in 4th grade when I went to space camp and got to see everything. And grew up in the shuttle era, so I didn't necessarily just want to be on the shuttle, I wanted to fly the shuttle.
Yes, going to Mars is absolutely on the horizon for us.
In our lifetimes?
We can absolutely get there. I believe so. And I want it to be in my lifetime because that is a goal for myself to be able to see that.
But first, the moon is calling. Step inside to one of the most iconic symbols of America's space program. NASA's original mission control restored as a museum, down to the ashtray, RC cola can, and slide rule. To that day in 1969.
Captain, we're go for landing. Eagle Houston, you're go for landing, over.
When Apollo 11 landed on the moon. 9 months later, the drama of Apollo 13 played out here.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. Houston, we've had a problem.
What's it like to come back and see this and stand here now?
It brings back a few memories.
In 2022, we asked Apollo lead flight director Milt Windler, then 90 years old, to come back.
What does this data here tell you? What is this about?
It's what the spacecraft is doing, what the systems are doing.
And sit down with Rick LeBreau.
It's hallowed ground where you walk in here and you still have memorabilia on the wall that reminds you of the accomplishments that these guys did in the Apollo days.
The lead flight director on the uncrewed Artemis 1 mission to the moon.
When these guys did it, that nobody had done before. We were riding on their shoulders because they figured it out for us, and that's huge.
The physics haven't changed. F is still equal to ma. It is, isn't it?
It is.
Good. Anyway, so a lot of things are different, the rules are different.
Newton's laws of motion are the same, but technology has come a long way since 1969. There is more computing power in my cell phone than you had during the Apollo days. How did you do that?
Well, because that's all we had. We did it with what we had.
Do you
We didn't know what we didn't have.
My generation looks back at what they accomplished and wonders how they did it.
Opened in 1965, they ran every Apollo mission out of here, every moon landing. And then they ran Skylab and shuttle missions, including the loss of Challenger. Today, an updated mission control runs the space station. Another next door will run the Artemis II mission. 15 to 18 controllers on duty 24/7 until the astronauts are safely back on Earth. Veteran controller Jude is the Artemis II Ascent Flight Director.
You know, I grew up in the shuttle generation, right? And shuttle low Earth was kind of the talk all in the space community. Never did I think that we'd be going back to the moon, and I would be part of that.
And already, NASA is preparing for the next big mission.
Are you ready to meet the 24th group of astronaut candidates?
Wearing their astronaut blues for the first time, a standing ovation from NASA employees, family, and friends for the newest class to make the cut.
You are America's best and brightest. And we're going to need America's best and brightest because we have bold exploration plans for the future.
4 men and 6 women selected from 8,000 applicants. They include fighter and test pilots, engineers, and a medical doctor. When engineer Yuri Kubo told his wife and 2 small children he was going to be an astronaut, a surprise reaction.
My kids were mostly concerned about me meeting an alien, so that was like, okay. It could still happen, but they'll probably come in peace. I'm confident. I feel good about it.
Also new on the job, NASA Chief Jared Isaacman.
Jared now opening Dragon Resilience into space.
He's the self-made billionaire who in 2024 became the first private astronaut to step out of an orbiting SpaceX ship.
Here, first turn looks like a perfect roll.
Isaacman is also an accomplished pilot with 7,000 hours in the cockpit.
I lived the American dream, and I owe this nation a great debt.
Isaacman made his fortune by founding credit card processing company Shift for Payments, but his passion has always been space. He's led 2 private space missions in SpaceX capsules. In 2023, I caught up with him while training in Colorado.
Why do this? Why do we need to go into space?
There are questions we've been asking ourselves since like the dawn of civilization, right? That we don't know the answers to. The universe is so big.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk wants to prioritize a Mars mission rather than the moon. Both Republicans and Democrats have pressed Isaacman to reaffirm the moon mission comes first.
We don't have to make a binary decision of moon versus Mars, or moon has to come first versus Mars. I think we could be paralleling these efforts.
Both America and China are targeting the lunar South Pole for a landing. But who will land first, America or China?
And we're just going to pursue excellence like I talked about before. That's how you win a space race, and that's just how you move our countries forward.
But China has also suffered setbacks. Its own astronauts, taikonauts, were stranded on China's space station after their return ship was hit by space debris. And no one really knows how close China is to actually putting taikonauts on the moon. Whoever gets there first could use the moon for a springboard to Mars.
And the first boot that ever sets foot on the surface of the red planet will be an American astronaut. It could well be one of these boots right here.
The 21st century space race could soon hit warp speed. Anna Menon was a commercial astronaut orbiting the Earth in 2024 with Jared Isaacman in that SpaceX Dragon capsule. In 2025, she was selected as a NASA astronaut.
I am just pinching myself to that this is even possible. You know, what a chapter of human spaceflight that we are in, that this is even possible today.
As NASA's first female launch director, Charlie Blackwell Thompson was in charge during Artemis. Is it past due that America returns to the moon?
I'm of a generation where when the TV card came into the classroom, something big was happening. And I remember that last moon landing, I was in elementary school, the TV card came in and
Holy mackerel.
astronauts on the surface of the moon.
I am eating soup. Is our live stream blowing up?
Looking up at the moon and just being struck.
I can't tell.
And so when I think about that, and this is a connection I've felt my entire life, right? I still look up at the moon with that same sense of curiosity and wonder. And so, you know, when I think about young kids that maybe will get that same sensation or will get that same sensation.
Liam, your soup. Can you go take care of it before the cat jumps up there? Like, hold on to it. Put it in the microwave or something.
Years after Apollo, the Artemis generation is assuming the legacy from her twin and aiming for the heavens.
We've always looked at the moon and said we've been there. But for this whole generation, for our generation, for the younger generation, for the Artemis generation, they're going to look at the moon now and go, we are there. It is a fundamental shift. It just gave me chills. Like that, it just changes the way these kids are going to look at the moon. They're not going to look at it as a part of a history book. They're going to look at it as a part of their legacy. That is powerful.
Well, well, well.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay up.
So special.
I'll just say one thing, get ready for what's coming, because Wisconsin is far more surprising and way crazier than you might think. And by the time we get to the final facts, you'll understand exactly what I mean. 50. Wisconsin's total area is larger than many think. Wisconsin
The worst freaking state to live in right now is Wisconsin, and nobody's talking about it.
covers just over 65,000 square miles when you combine land and water, making it larger than countries such as Ireland or Lithuania. When you picture Wisconsin on a map, it doesn't feel that big, but once you start comparing landmass, the size becomes clearer. If you were to drive from the southern border to the northernmost tip without stops, it would feel like traveling across multiple small European countries stacked together. 49. The state has two major coastlines. While the word coastline usually makes people think of oceans, Wisconsin enjoys the shores of both Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. The Lake Michigan coastline alone is about 1,000 miles long if you trace every bend, and the Lake Superior side adds hundreds more. That means Wisconsin has more coastal access than several states on the eastern seaboard. This dual coast setup not only influences the climate, but also creates distinct local environments. Towns on the Lake Superior side tend to be windier and cooler, while Lake Michigan communities often have milder winter temperatures thanks to the huge thermal mass of the water. 48. Door County has one of the highest concentrations of lighthouses in the country. Door County sits on a peninsula jutting into Lake Michigan, and it contains more than a dozen historic lighthouses. The unique shape of the peninsula, with long stretches of rocky shore and hidden reefs beneath the surface of the water, created a need for these navigational structures. Sailing around Door County's waters can feel like navigating the edges of a massive stone hand reaching into the lake. When compared to popular lighthouse states like Maine, Door County holds its own, despite being far from the ocean. 47. Wisconsin contains an unexpected number of islands. Most people don't associate Wisconsin with islands, yet the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore offers more than 20 islands scattered across Lake Superior. These islands range from large forested stretches of land to tiny rocky outcrops. Their arrangement creates a maze-like environment with sea caves, sand beaches, and cliffs. When viewed from the air, the Apostles look almost like someone dropped a handful of pebbles into the lake and froze the moment of impact. It's one of the most island-rich freshwater areas in the world. 46. The driftless area was never flattened by glaciers. Southwestern Wisconsin is home to what geographers call the driftless area, a region untouched by the last major glaciation. Instead of flat plains, it features deep valleys, tall bluffs, and ridges that resemble some parts of Appalachia. When you stand in this region, the land feels older and more rugged than the rest of the Midwest. The driftless area also contains cold water springs that support trout habitat, making it ecologically distinct. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe to discover hidden stories and curiosities about every U.S. state that no one else will tell you. 45. Wisconsin has over 15,000 lakes. The number is sometimes debated because definitions vary, but Wisconsin easily boasts more than 15,000 named and unnamed lakes. That is more lakes than Minnesota if you include every body of water that meets Wisconsin's measurement criteria. In many counties, you can't drive more than a few minutes without encountering a lake or pond. This saturation of freshwater shapes recreation.
Thank you, Mr.
Even the layout of certain communities.
Jose
It also creates
Gabriel
microclimates,
Sadre.
since large bodies of water hold heat.
How are you on my TikTok, Jose?
44. The Wisconsin River cuts the state nearly in half, stretching more than 400 miles. The Wisconsin River runs from the far northern forests to the Mississippi River in the southwest.
Incredible.
Its path is so central that
I'm
the
just
river
eating
almost
soup.
acts as a geographical spine, influencing where towns developed and how early transportation
Very
was
kind with the
formed.
hearts.
The river also
Thank you
created
so much.
sandstone formations along its path, most famously at Wisconsin Dells. The contrast between the calm, wide stretches of the river and the narrow, cliff-lined areas in the Dells region shows just how varied a single waterway can be. 43. Lake Winnebago is one of the largest inland lakes in the country. Lake Winnebago covers about 215 square miles, making it larger than many small coastal bays in the United States. Its shallow depth gives it a completely different character compared to deep glacial lakes. Because sunlight reaches much of its bottom, aquatic plants flourish, supporting an impressive fish population. The lake plays a huge economic and recreational role, especially in winter when sturgeon spearers gather across its frozen surface. If you laid Lake Winnebago over a city like Chicago, it would extend well beyond the urban core. 42. The Channel Lakes region contains some of the densest lake clusters in America.
Wow.
Located in central Wisconsin, the Channel Lakes area features more than 20 interconnected lakes within a remarkably small geographic radius. If you were to place these lakes on top of a major metropolitan area, they would cover entire neighborhoods. The region's water channels create a landscape where you can travel long distances entirely by boat. The lakes also have remarkably clear water due to natural filtration from surrounding wetlands and springs. 41. Wisconsin's highest natural point isn't very tall, but it's surrounded by rolling land. Timms Hill stands at only about 1,151 feet above sea level. While that might not impress people from mountainous states, the area around Timms Hill is elevated relative to much of Wisconsin, giving it a surprising vantage point. On clear days, you can see miles of forested land, which looks like waves of green frozen in place. The surrounding region illustrates Wisconsin's transition from lowland plains to more rugged northern topography. 40. The northern forest region covers nearly half the state. The northern counties are part of a massive forested zone that stretches across the upper Midwest. This forest acts like a giant carbon absorber and is home to countless lakes, marshes, and rivers formed by ancient glaciers. When you compare the forested part of Wisconsin to the rest of the state, the north almost looks like a different world. And with dense woodland giving way only occasionally to small towns. It also influences climate, making the northern region significantly cooler. 39. Wisconsin has more miles of rivers than many larger states. With over 12,600 miles of rivers and streams, Wisconsin surpasses several states that are physically larger. The dense network of waterways reflects the glacially shaped terrain and high water table. These rivers carve through sandstone, flow across marshes, and wind through forests. If stretched into a straight line, Wisconsin's waterways could wrap halfway around the planet. Their distribution also means that nearly every county has access to canoeing or kayaking routes. 38. The Mississippi River forms Wisconsin's western border.
Okay,
The iconic
good soup.
Mississippi runs along the state's entire southwestern edge, defining both geography and ecology. The Mississippi in this region is wide, dotted with islands, and filled with backwaters. The border region forms tall bluffs that rise hundreds of feet above the river, creating scenery more dramatic than most people associate with Wisconsin. The combination of water, cliffs, and valleys makes this part of the state resemble landscapes found much farther south. 37. Wisconsin has one of the largest concentrations of spring-fed creeks in the Midwest. Cold, steady flowing springs emerge from limestone and sandstone formations across central and southern counties. These
Where's
springs
that?
feed
Oh, I
clear,
know where that is.
mineral-rich creeks that run year-round and maintain nearly constant temperatures. These conditions create habitats rarely found in surrounding states. When comparing spring density, saying Wisconsin ranks among the highest in the region, giving it an underground water system that rivals mountain states known for their springs. 36. The state's landscape includes both prairie and northern boreal ecosystems. Wisconsin sits at a geographical crossroads.
That's not a
The
Wisconsin
southern portion
photo.
blends tall grass prairies and oak savannas, while the north transitions into boreal forest conditions. This creates a striking ecological divide. In one direction, the land opens into rolling prairie remnants, and in another, dense forests take over with tree species, especially in central regions. These formations come from layers of ancient sediment compressed and sculpted by rivers and streams over long periods. Places like Baraboo and the Dells exhibit dramatic shapes with pillars, gorges, and narrow passages. Compared to standard Midwestern flatlands, these sandstone features stand out dramatically, almost giving parts of Wisconsin a desert-like flavor in terms of rock shape, though surrounded by lush vegetation. 34. Wisconsin's glacial plains create some of the smoothest landscapes in the Midwest. Much of eastern and central Wisconsin is covered by glacial plains left behind after large sheets of ice moved across the region and later melted. These plains are remarkably smooth and subtly undulating, creating wide expanses that seem almost engineered for agriculture. If you've ever flown over the Midwest, these plains appear like neatly brushed velvet. The soil is deep, rich, and consistent across long stretches, which explains why farming thrives here. In contrast to the rugged, driftless area, these plains feel calm and orderly, a reminder of the massive natural forces that shape them. 33. The Kettle Moraine region is a natural sculpture garden of glacial features. Kettle Moraine cuts diagonally across southeastern Wisconsin, forming a collection of ridges, depressions, and hills created by glaciers pushing and dumping material during their retreat. Kettles, large pits formed by melting ice blocks, can be tens of feet deep, while moraines form long, curving ridges. Walking or driving through the region feels like moving across a frozen wave pattern carved into the earth. Few states have such an extensive display of glacial formations in one place. Compared to the flat surrounding areas, Kettle Moraine looks like an entirely different world, sculpted by
With Chewy, never run out of tailored nutrition for seniors, puppies, and every age in between.
Order new Detroit-style slices and sticks for only $4.99 from Little Caesars. You get both of these Detroit-style favorites all to yourself. Aren't you spoiled? Look at you and your Detroit-style deep dish slices with crispy caramelized edges. And you'll get 4 pieces of Italian cheese bread topped with buttery garlic drizzle too. Wait, plus a side of crazy sauce? That's not fair. All right, I could just go get my own. Order Detroit-style slices and sticks for only $4.99. Pizza, pizza.
Okay, $1,900 a year is way too much for home insurance.
I mean, I get that, but my hands are tied. I can't just have to pay it, right?
Why aren't you using a comparison site to get a better deal?
A what?
A comparison site. This site helped me save hundreds a year.
So I just have to fill this out?
Yeah, just fill that out. And I used it a couple months ago when my old company was overcharging me like crazy. That site got me the same coverage and saved me hundreds a year.
Seriously? Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna fill this out right now.
Okay, we're gonna put the link below, so go check it out, and you're welcome.
Nature. 32. The state contains massive wetland complexes that rank among the largest in the nation. Wisconsin's wetlands cover millions of acres, making them a crucial part of the state's geography. Marshes, fens, bogs, and swamps appear across its landscape, particularly in the central and northern regions. These wetlands act like giant sponges, absorbing water, filtering runoff, and supporting diverse plant and animal life. In terms of wetland acreage, Wisconsin stands alongside states with far larger land areas. And some towns are built just minutes away from marshes that extend for miles, creating environments where land and water interlace in subtle, beautiful ways. 31. Lake Superior's Wisconsin shoreline is among the coldest freshwater coasts in the country. The waters along the northern edge of Wisconsin stay exceptionally cold, even during summer. This is because Lake Superior is deep and holds cold temperatures for long periods. If you compare it to Wisconsin's Lake Michigan shoreline, you'll find a dramatic difference. The Superior side can feel like stepping next to a refrigerated natural basin. These cold waters help form sea caves in the Apostle Islands as winter ice repeatedly expands and contracts along the rock. 30. The eastern ridges and western valleys create a subtle tilt across the state. Wisconsin is higher in the north and west and slightly lower toward the south and east, creating a gentle but measurable tilt. This tilt affects how rivers drain, where wetlands form, and how storm systems move across the state. It also influences soil patterns, with certain crops thriving more consistently in one region than another. While you wouldn't notice it when driving, geographers can map the shift clearly. Compared to states with dramatic elevation changes, Wisconsin's tilt is modest, but it still shapes the natural layout. 29. Wisconsin has some of the most varied soil types in the Midwest. The state contains sandy soils, clay-rich layers, organic peat deposits, and loamy blends perfect for farming. These soils were formed through glacial activity, sedimentation, and plant decomposition. This diversity means that Wisconsin can support everything from cranberries and acidic bogs to vegetables in rich loam and pine forests in sandy regions. When you map the soil types across the state, it looks like a patchwork quilt of different earth tones. 28. Wisconsin's underground aquifers form one of the most reliable freshwater systems in the Midwest. Beneath the state lies a complex network of aquifers consisting of sandstone layers, limestone formations, and gravel-filled deposits left behind by glaciers. These aquifers supply water to communities large and small, delivering clean, mineral-rich groundwater. Compared to states where aquifers are quickly declining, Wisconsin's system remains relatively stable due to abundant recharge from rainfall and snowmelt. Although these aquifers stay hidden from sight, they shape the landscape by feeding springs, creeks, and wetlands. They act like the state's quiet, buried arteries that keep water flowing even during dry spells. 27. The state's climate zones vary sharply across short distances. Wisconsin includes several climate zones in a relatively small geographic area. The north experiences cooler temperatures and shorter growing seasons due to its forests and proximity to Lake Superior. The central portion has a more moderate climate influenced by wetlands and farmland. Along Lake Michigan, temperatures remain milder in winter and cooler in summer thanks to the lake's thermal effect. These differences can be significant. Areas just a few miles apart may have different frost dates or vegetation. The result is a patchwork of microclimates more varied than many larger states. 26. Wisconsin's landscape includes natural springs with extremely high water clarity. Many of Wisconsin's natural springs emerge from limestone or sandstone bedrock, allowing water to filter through rock layers before bubbling to the surface. This filtration creates exceptional clarity, often allowing observers to see several feet into the water. These springs feed trout streams, small lakes, and marshes across the state. In places where springs are concentrated, the water can appear bright blue due to mineral content. Compared to states known for mountain springs, Wisconsin's spring-fed waters hold their own in clarity and consistency. 25. The state is home to long, narrow ridges formed by ancient compression forces. Certain regions of Wisconsin contain elongated ridges made of quartzite or sandstone that's formed through ancient geological pressure. These ridges slice through the landscape in long lines, creating natural barriers and elevated viewpoints. Although they are not mountains, they stand significantly higher than the surrounding terrain. They give parts of Wisconsin a layered look when viewed from a distance, somewhat similar to certain Midwestern foothill environments. 24. The Wisconsin cranberry bogs represent one of the largest concentrations of acidic wetlands in the nation. Central Wisconsin's cranberry growing regions rely on naturally acidic wetlands, which resemble flat, water-controlled environments with sandy soil and specific drainage characteristics. These bogs are widespread, covering thousands of acres. Their flatness and soil composition make them visually striking compared to the surrounding farmland. From above, the bogs look like a series of geometric shapes filled with water during the harvest season. The landscape created by these bogs is unique, and few states have such a large stretch of land dedicated to this type of wetland environment. 23. Wisconsin's northern lakes hold exceptionally clear water due to their glacial origins. Glacial lakes in northern Wisconsin tend to be deep, cold, and naturally filtered by surrounding forests and sandy deposits. Their clarity can rival alpine lakes, with visibility that extends well below the surface. These lakes were carved by glaciers that scoured the land, leaving depressions that filled with clean meltwater. Compared to shallower southern lakes, northern lakes maintain their clarity because less sediment washes into them. The difference is so noticeable that even casual observers comment on how transparent the water appears. 22. The state's river valleys create natural wind tunnels. Some of Wisconsin's major river valleys, such as those along the Wisconsin River and Mississippi River, create natural corridors where wind travels faster and more consistently. The steep sides of certain valleys funnel air in a way that resembles a natural ventilation system. This phenomenon also affects temperature, as moving air can cool river valleys faster during certain times of the year. Anyone analyzing wind patterns in Wisconsin quickly notices that valleys have distinct airflow compared to open plains. 21. Wisconsin's water table is among the highest in the Midwest. In many parts of the state, groundwater sits close to the surface, sometimes only a few feet below. This high water table contributes to the abundance of wetlands, springs, ponds, and streams. It also explains why digging deep basements can be difficult in certain areas. The high water table helps maintain lush vegetation and supports wildlife habitats across the landscape. Compared to states with deeper water levels underground, Wisconsin's water is far more accessible and visible in its geography. 20. The state's mix of hardwood and conifer forests creates distinct ecological boundaries. Wisconsin sits at a transition point where northern conifer forests meet central and southern hardwood forests. This overlap produces noticeable boundaries where tree species shift dramatically. On one side of a county road, you might see tall pines, and on the other, broadleaf oaks and maples. And these boundaries are easier to spot in Wisconsin than in many other states because the shift occurs over relatively short distances. 19. The shores of Lake Michigan create their own mini-climate. Communities along Lake Michigan experience milder winters and cooler summers than inland regions. This is due to the lake's ability to absorb heat and release it slowly, moderating temperatures. The effect can be so pronounced that certain trees bloom earlier or later, depending on how far they sit from the shoreline. Fog, wind direction, and humidity are also influenced by the lake. Even a 20-minute drive inland can reveal a noticeable temperature difference, making the shoreline feel like a geographical world of its own. 18. Wisconsin's natural sand barrens rival those of much larger states. Certain areas in central and northern Wisconsin contain large sand barrens, where glacial outwash left behind sandy, nutrient-poor soils. These barrens create open, dry landscapes that support unique plants and animals adapted to these conditions. The sand can be surprisingly deep in some places, giving the land a desert-like feel despite the surrounding green forests. Compared to states that are known for sandy ecosystems, Wisconsin's barrens hold their own, covering thousands of acres and forming one of the state's most surprising geographical environments. 17. Wisconsin's driftless streams form. Some of the steepest water gradients in the Midwest. In the southwestern part of Wisconsin, the terrain drops sharply into narrow valleys, carved by streams flowing through the driftless landscape. These streams are unusual for the region because they descend more rapidly than most Midwestern waterways, creating surprisingly steep gradients. When mapped by geographers, they show a quick shift from ridge to valley floor, resembling water systems found in more mountainous states. The result is a landscape where streams twist tightly, run fast, and carve V-shaped channels. 16. The Niagara Escarpment passes directly through Wisconsin's eastern edge. Running through Door County and beneath parts of eastern Wisconsin is the Niagara Escarpment, a long limestone ridge that also extends into several other states and Canada. In Wisconsin, this escarpment rises as a natural wall of rock that subtly but powerfully shapes the region's topography.
Grainger knows that as the procurement coordinator at a manufacturing plant, you can count on auto reordering at the PPE you need on hand. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Is the best review of the year, and don't spoil the ending. You have to see and believe. Try Crest.